All right, we're here with episode 7 of the Take Me On Tour podcast. And as always, I appreciate anyone who's watching or listening. We have a great guest today, Mike Warren, which I'll get into in just a few minutes. But just wanted to talk to you guys about what's going on with me. And I'm currently working on vlogs from the last tour we did with Stained and Breaking Benjamin back in September and October. And I have tons of footage from that, so hopefully I can get quite a few videos out just from that one tour. But we have another leg of that coming up in just a couple of months, and that one will be with Breaking Benjamin and Stained co-headlining, of course. And then instead of Daughtry this time, it's going to be Wage War, which I'm excited to see. Don't really know a whole lot about their music, but we did tour quite a bit with Daughtry last year. We did 2 tours in a row, I think, with Daughtry. So nice to change it up and have Wage War there instead. And then Lakeview will be opening again. They opened up the first co-headliner that we did in September, October. So yeah, looking forward to that. And I'm really itching to get back out there. Until then, I'll just be working on videos. And if you missed the last episode, that was with Blake Bailey, the drum tech for Breaking Benjamin. And I'll have that linked for you in the description if you want to check that out. I highly suggest you watch that one, as these last 2 episodes, this one and that one, are easily some of the best I've ever done. And they're just really in line with what this podcast is supposed to be about, which is, talking to crew guys and highlighting the people that make this happen. And Blake had some really good stories about how he got into touring and how he worked his way up to arena touring, starting from, clubs and theaters, and then working for the first of 4 on the first tour I met him on, which was one of the Breaking Benjamin tours. We did our first arena tours together. So it's a great episode. I would check that out if you haven't already. And I was really looking forward to editing the one that we're doing right now, which is the one with Mike Warren, who we call Cowboy on tour. And he's just another really great guy from our crew. And I'm glad to have them both on. So this podcast is really starting to take shape into what it's supposed to be, which is about, like I said, the touring music industry and the crew members. And it's unfortunate it didn't start out that way. There was a lot of things to figure out, and there still is, but 7 episodes in, I think it's finally starting to come together, and a lot more people are willing to do the podcast, whereas in the beginning I was afraid to even ask people, and I kind of had to bring it up slowly, and I was nervous, and I really just had to tell people what my ideas were, and more people were like, yeah, I'll do it. And it's just been everyone's been really supportive and welcoming to doing the episodes. So probably on this next tour that we do, hopefully get at least 2 more done. If not, hopefully 3 or 4. I got to see who's out there. Maybe we even get some guys from the Wage War crew or something on this thing. That would be pretty cool. So I also just wanted to take a minute to thank anyone here who has found this podcast from my social media platforms, or anyone who also follows me who has already been here. Finally, things really started picking up, and I had a couple of videos go viral, hitting over 1 million views, both on Instagram and Facebook, which is just insane to me. One of them was like Sean's drum kit being rolled off of a truck with a ramp, and I just didn't think much of it. I did like a quick voiceover for it, and it gained 1.7 million views on Facebook and 1.2 million on Instagram. And I had another one right after that go extremely viral. It was a meme. It was like a video meme, and 2 in a row on Instagram hit 1.2 million views. So thank you to anyone who saw those, who liked them, shared them. I mean, I'm still getting shares, and it's been like a week and a half since those things came out. So people are still coming across those. But yeah, if anyone's new here and you haven't heard any episode, maybe this is the first episode that you're hearing. This is all about the touring music industry. And I work with the band Breaking Benjamin doing merchandise, and I've been touring for about 10 years now. So I'm a crew guy that just wants to make behind the scenes videos, because there was nothing else like that whenever I was, coming up and touring and wanted to know all the stuff. And I've had this idea for years, and it's finally coming together. So if you like what you hear, consider subscribing. I have 2 YouTube channels, one for the podcast and one that has all the behind the scenes stuff. So I'll link those down for you in the description as well. But yeah, man, things really started taking off on social media. It's about time. I just started posting not every single day, maybe probably 5 times a week I started posting, and it didn't take long before it had like a really big impact. And I don't know why I didn't think about doing that before, but things just really started taking off. We hit like 10,000 followers on Instagram. It's like 8,000 on TikTok and Facebook, and Still trying to get people over to YouTube, which I'm sure that'll come eventually. But yeah, it's been pretty wild. So I appreciate anybody who has found me from there or who follows me on any of those social platforms. Also, the Louder Than Life 2025 lineup was announced, and to my surprise, Breaking Benjamin is on there again. This is something I had no idea was happening, and as crew members, even when you work for the band, you don't always hear about things before they're announced, and that's kind of just the way it goes. I mean, eventually I'll get the call and the talk and the schedule and everything like that, but that's something I didn't expect because whenever you do a festival, most bands don't do them 2 years in a row. I mean, I think they do try to alternate bands. If you're going to do it this year, you'll skip next year and then do it the year after. But I didn't know that was happening. We just did Louder Than Life a few months ago in October, and I have a vlog out for that as well. If you haven't seen that, that's on the main channel. And I did see that there were some other repeat bands on there as well. And it seems like a really solid lineup, though. So if I can be there again, I'll be happy to be there and do another vlog for you guys. My older brother actually pointed out that Rob Zombie is actually doing a special set for that festival, and I guess he's playing the entire Astro Creep album in its entirety. And if you've never heard that album, I highly suggest you stop what you're doing and go listen to that right now because it's one of the most iconic albums of the 90s. And I think Rob Zombie's there the day before we are, so I guess I'm going to miss that. But, I mean, we're only there. If Louder Than Life is 4 days long, we're only there for one of the 4 days. So that's just how it goes. So I only get to see the bands that are there that day. But another thing that I did notice that I was pretty surprised about is that Dream Theater is on it, which is an even bigger surprise. I don't think I've ever seen them on any festival lineup like this. And I don't know why. I just maybe felt like it wasn't a surprise that they weren't on it. They don't really fit the genre, but there's so many different types of bands on these festivals now. I mean, you got Jelly Roll and Coetzel mixed with, bands like Disturbed and Rob Zombie and Korn and all that stuff. So I guess it's also not a surprise that Dream Theater is on there now, but I'm glad to see them doing that, man. That latest album they put out, Parasomnia, I think is what it's called, is just phenomenal. I've been listening to it for like 2 weeks straight, and we actually just saw them a couple of weeks ago in San Antonio, and it was just a phenomenal show. They played just over 3 hours celebrating 40 years of Dream Theater. So it's crazy to think that they've been a band for that long. And of course, Mike Portnoy's back, so always great to see him behind the kit again, man. I've met him multiple times over his touring career, and 3 hours of Dream Theater. So if you're going to go see them, be prepared because it's an evening with, and I knew it was going to be, but 3 hours. They do a small intermission, like maybe about an hour and 15 minutes in. They take like a 10 or 15 minute break, but yeah, it's about 3 hours. I think they started at 7:30 and finished around 10 o'clock after the intermission and everything. So great show. And yeah, I'm glad we were able to catch them again. So, yeah, go see them if you have the opportunity. But anyway, let's get into today's episode. Today's guest is Mike Warren, the longtime guitar tech for Breaking Benjamin and someone I consider to be one of the best in the business and a really close touring friend of mine. I've been fortunate enough to spend the last 3 years of my touring career with him, and he's just got so much wisdom and experience in the industry, and anyone who knows him would agree. Just someone anyone would without a doubt want on their crew, and we're fortunate enough to have him on ours. And this may very well go down as one of my favorite episodes and best guests I'll ever have on the show. He takes care of Jason and Aaron in Breaking Benjamin, and he also works for bands like A Day to Remember, Bush, Theory of a Dead Man, and so many others. And I really hope you guys enjoy this one. Here's my conversation with the legendary Mike Warren. Well, if it isn't the guitarist from Jacknife himself sitting in front of me.
Wow.
How you doing, man? You enjoying your day off on this last day of tour?
Wow. Bringing up the old... Man, dude, this is the last day off of the tour.
It is. Last day off, man.
Man. No, it's great. It's in Texas, too. We're Texas boys,
right?
Yeah,
you were just in your hometown a couple of days ago.
Back where the air has some humidity in it.
Yeah, exactly,
being on the
man.
West Coast was... I mean, I was dried out. Dude. What, Sacramento... Vegas, Phoenix, Albuquerque with all the days off. It's like, man, I was dried out. The Southern boy needs some humidity in the air.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Get me home.
I definitely noticed a difference too. And yeah, once we hit Texas, and you could tell we were here.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure.
Get off the bus, you're like, oh, the air has moisture in it.
Yep,
we're back.
Yeah, but I mean, first off, thank you for taking the time. out of your day off to do this. I know it's not easy on a day off to make time for an hour-long podcast, but
oh man, anything for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. But yeah, I mean, for anybody listening, this is Mike Warren, better known as Cowboy, and he's our stage left guitar tech for Breaking Benjamin, taking care of Jason and Aaron. And you've been with Breaking Benjamin for about 8 years now. Is that right?
2016.
2016. Yeah.
September of 2016. So on this tour, I hit my 8-year anniversary.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Seems like I felt like it was, honestly, I would have thought it was 10 years, but I mean, I didn't know how long you had been here, but it just seems like you're one of the longest standing crew members, I would say. Probably the longest or close to.
Me, it would be Terry, Jerome, and me. Yeah.
Okay.
So as far as the stage personnel, I'm definitely the longest standing stage member. You know?
Yep. Yeah, most definitely. And I've known you for about 3 years. I've been here for about 3 years, and I wanted to bring that Jacknife thing up because that's one of the first things that on one of the first tours that we did. That was like one of the first interactions we had. It was on the Seether tour, and we were in catering. I remember, and at some casino, and I was talking to you, and I was just like, so how did you get into touring? Like just making small talk, at catering. And
as one does, yeah.
Yeah, you were like, yeah, I used to be in a band, man, and all this stuff. And I was like, what band? And you were like, you wouldn't know, man. And I was just like,
no, you've never heard of it.
Yeah, you never heard of us. And I was just like, okay, well, you want to tell me anyway? I was like, let me try. I was like, we're both from Texas. He goes, yeah, I was in a band called Jacknife. And I was just like, oh, dude, I've seen you play. And this was 2003 or 4 maybe with Kitty, I would say.
We've been probably 04 or 05.
Yeah, and I was in high school. I mean, Cowboy's a few years older than me, but I don't know. I mean, nearly 20 years later, I find out that probably about 20 years later that I'd seen you play a show and never knew. And
touring with Kitty, right?
Yeah,
is that the show?
Yeah, Kitty, and then Calico System. I want to say.
Yeah, that is correct. Wow, I wouldn't have remembered that opener, Calico System. That is correct. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I played at the show. I don't remember the place it was, but it was like in a strip mall, I want to say. It was
probably so. Probably. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some strip mall, like metalcore venue in the.
Yep.
Yeah, that would have been it.
Yeah, so I mean that's why I was just like, I don't know, man, try me, and it turns out I did see a show, and I kind of just never forget that, and it's just one of my favorite stories of.
Dude, that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And so
that seems like a lifetime ago, by the way.
It really is, and
like
speaking
of whole different life.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you've been touring for most of your adult life, I would say, right?
I mean, most of my adult life. I mean, it really started with Jacknife, early 2000s, doing regional stuff. And we were kind of talking about that the other day. I was like, by 2004, Jacknife was signed, and by 2000, I mean, we were touring in 2004. And the record came out in 2005. But even before that, we were doing like regional stuff where we'd leave 3 or 4 days here and 3 or 4 days there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really started kind of touring in a van in, I don't know, 2002 probably. But, yeah, I mean, it's most of my life. And there's little nulls in there, like when Jacknife kind of fell apart and I was kind of working at Guitar Center. Or I was working with my father as an electrician for a little bit for a while. But every job I had was always because that job would let me be in a band,
right?
So it'd be like, because I mean, even to this day, there are even like mildly successful bands, and they go home and they all have day jobs. It's a hard thing to do, but yeah, I mean, it's really, I say I've been touring since 2004, so I'm like 20 years in.
It's a long time, yeah. And I mean, speaking of the day job thing, I mean, even Chris Adler from Lamb of God would always talk about how it wasn't until Ashes of the Wake, which is their third album, that he started to make enough money to not have to go home
and work. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It would shock people. Like, even some of their favorite bands that, have good slots on arena tours, like even bigger tours, bands that are first, second in slots like that, they all go home and have day jobs, man. It's, it costs a lot to tour, expenses and crew. And, I mean, even 20 years ago when Jacknife was doing it, I mean, we were just broke, man. I mean, we were just absolutely broke. But when you're young, you almost kind of love it, and you feel like that's what you're supposed to do. You're like, oh, I'm supposed to, move back in with my parents. When you get, some sort of record deal offered to you, and you have management and booking, and you're getting tours, and you're going to do it in a van and trailer. You're like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is paying your dues. This is how you make it. This is how you make it, right? You move back in with your parents, and you're broke, and you sleep in the van, or you have like little signs at your merch and be like, need a place to crash, and you just go to a stranger's house and you'd be like, who cares? They have a shower. Let's go.
That's how it was. I mean, I didn't start touring as early as you did, but I started touring in 2015 and I was mid-20s, and those were the kind of situations we would get. And it would be so lucky sometimes you'd get this guy, just this generous guy, and he not only was he nice enough to let you come over, but he had a nice house too. And you're like, damn, this guy's got like a 2-story house with like a finished basement, and like we'd stay there for a couple of days if we had days off, even if it meant like driving further on the show day or something. You're like, I'm staying here.
Out of the way to stay at somebody's house. Yeah. We had one once where we had the sign up, and dude brought us back to his house and whatever, and he was really great. I couldn't begin to tell you where this was at or his name, but he was the manager of a Taco Bell.
Wow. Okay.
Right? And so when we were leaving, it was just one of those things, get done with the show, load out, going back to this guy's house to party. We were just drinking beer and sleeping in sleeping bags. And, the shower was always hey, you got a shower we can use, But when we left, he gave us a book of Taco Bell coupons. He basically bought our Taco Bell for the rest of the tour.
Damn.
I mean, we just thought we had struck gold. I mean, you know what I mean? We were fanning that book, like just making it rain. Just like, oh man, they were like little $5 coupons. We were just
20 years ago. That was a lot of money too.
I mean, we had made it. Because they used to have like the 98-cent menu back then. You'd be like, I got a $5 coupon, like. Bitch, just like, oh, going in there, getting good,
I can't believe you've never told me that. And we were just at Taco Bell a couple weeks ago. Man. I'm surprised you never brought that up.
It was purple. I can just remember, I can still see it when he'd be like, hey man, here, you guys get this Taco Bell on me. And us just being like, holy hell. We have arrived. We're going to eat on this tour.
Yeah. That's awesome,
Which
dude.
Which wasn't always the case in Jacknife.
Yeah. Damn, dude. Yeah, and I've said it many times, dude. I always really admire people and give a lot of respect to people who have gone through stuff like that. I was just talking to Josh about it on the bus, and it's like things have changed a lot, and people are coming into touring at a different time and jumping straight on a bus, doing arena tours, amphitheaters, and... people like us were doing van tours, and you did probably a lot more than I did. I only did maybe 3 or 4, but still, I mean, sleeping on the floorboards of those things is not something a lot of people would do.
Yeah.
And when you're in your 20s, I think also, as we were talking about things, you're more willing to do things you wouldn't do now.
Absolutely.
My God. Like I don't see you. I mean, either one of us,
I mean, I'm still touring in a Sprinter. I'm still touring in a van.
That's right.
To this day.
Right.
But they're different now because, back then it would be 15-passenger van. You know? At one point, Jacknife, we had one of the, I don't even know what conversion van is what they called it, with the kind of raised roof, like the old, and it had rope lighting in it, and it had a back seat that would fold down to a bed.
I gotcha.
It was and it had a TV mounted in it, but it was an old conversion van we had fixed up. So we had brought, to this day, I still have my original Nintendo, and we would have Nintendo in there, and we thought we had arrived, But nowadays you get the Sprinter vans that are souped up 4-bands, like what Keith rolls in, and it's got bunks in it.
Yeah,
I mean, everyone sleeps laying down and no one's on the floor.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
The way that I did it when I was young, I wouldn't do it like that now. But that's so. I mean, I'm still touring in a van.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that's you're doing. You're right. I can kind of forgot about that too. But I mean, being in Jacknife, you're originally from Dallas, but now living in Franklin, Tennessee, right?
Yeah, south of Nashville. Yeah.
And what made you move out there? You've been in Dallas for how long? Your whole life, pretty much, right?
Yeah, my whole life. I mean, I'm about to turn 42. Been out there too. So I mean, 39, moved out there. I don't know. A whole lot of reasons. I think that I think for anyone trying to do anything in music, Nashville is a good place to go. Right. If you're trying to get your start, if you are already in it and you're trying to elevate to the next tier or what you might consider the next level of your career, Nashville is a good place to go. It's where so much of the business is at. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not even just if you want to be a guitar player or a guitar tech. If you want to be a tour manager, if you want to be a tour bus driver or a truck driver or a merch guy, it's just a good town. It's Music City, man. It's where all of it is. It's the heartbeat of the industry at this point. It's no longer, LA. It's just not, it's not New York, LA. It's Nashville as far as our industry is concerned. So much of the management is out there. The people who do the hiring, the people, it's kind of all there.
It's the spot. Yeah.
And on top of that, Jasen lives there, and my buddy Kevin Scaff lives there. Like the two main dudes that I kind of take care of throughout a year are there. Breaking Benjamin's gear lives there. There's just
almost no reason not to.
It was just like, and there's so many benefits to that, where if I want to go up to the locker and mess with the guitar rig, I don't, you know what I mean? Like I can just do that on a Wednesday morning if I want to. Yeah. I can literally go, I'm like, I'm just going to go and, or before a tour, I can go up there on my own and get ahead of stuff. I'm like, I'm going to go knock out all my restrings. So during rehearsals, I can get to this or get to that. Like, and, I didn't have that luxury so much of my career. A lot of guys wouldn't do that anyway because they're like, well, they're not paying me, so I'm not going up there. But, I'm a little different. Sometimes it's nice to do that. That way, when they are paying you, your day's a little more lax. You're ahead of it, and it's easier, and you can have a little more fun, and you don't feel so like, okay, load in. We've got one day of tech day or whatever, and I got all this stuff to do before the band shows up. Right. That kind of goes away, and that's worth it to me to spend a day of my own time up there, and then you're just kind of hanging out and drinking Starbucks, and, bullshitting with your friends, telling fishing stories that probably aren't true.
That's true.
And that's so much better. But yeah, I mean, moving to Nashville. There's just so many benefits with it, but on top of that, Steven, I've been all over the world as people in our line of work do, but I've never lived anywhere else but Dallas. Yeah. I was born in Dallas, raised in Dallas. I lived in Louisiana for a while as a child, but came back to Texas. But, my whole formidable years in adult life, I was always in Dallas. And I don't know, at some point, maybe I just kind of wanted to pack my stuff up and move to a different state. It's something I'd never done in life, So Nashville seemed like a great place to do that,
Yeah. But yeah, we're on the tail end of this co-headliner tour with Stained, with support from Daughtry and Lakeview. And how has this tour been for you, mentally, physically, anything? Like, are you burnt out? It is the end of the year, and you've had a busy year for sure. So how's it been?
Dude, this tour's been great. It's the best shed run I've definitely ever done with Breaking Benjamin. I would say it's the best shed run I've ever done.
Really?
It's the crews get along really well, but everyone is very courteous. Right. And so much of it in the backline realm of it, so much of it is with the shed or arena touring, any touring, is a good stage manager who can get your gear out of the truck and onto the deck in a timely manner. Which Casey, our stage manager, he's the best stage manager I think I've ever worked for.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about him on this tour. Yeah,
he's just, he's like all stage managers. They get a little yelly sometimes.
Yeah,
but those dudes have all the weight of the world on their shoulders. But man, he's just the best stage manager I've ever worked for. And I understand too, and this isn't just a Casey thing. Any stage manager, like when they're yelling, they're just in the heat of battle.
Sure.
Like when you're leading your troops to battle, those officers aren't politely telling you to charge the machine gun nest. They're yelling at you to do that.
Right.
They're there with you, ready to go, but they're yelling at you.
Yeah.
So you can't ever take that personal. It's not a personal thing. It's a leadership thing and it's a sternness thing, and I love that. I don't like a stage manager who's soft. It's not a good thing,
sure.
But yeah, Casey's just the best, one of the best in the business. The gear comes out really quick. We get our worlds, but so much of the backline thing is real estate. Just being able to have a place to build your world and run your show every day. And sometimes you get tours where there's just a lot of stuff on deck, and it's hard to get it all together. And on this tour, by show number 2, everyone's just so polite. And that's not always the case with like a lot of guys are like, well, we're headlining, so this is my world, this is how I build. Everyone build around me, and everyone on this tour is so courteous, and well, I can move this, and during changeover I can move whatever, and
that's nice.
And we've just got this like flow. We go in, and I know where this guy's gonna go, and it's just so good. And you would think it would always be like that, but it's just not. Sometimes you get guys who just aren't as considerate, not that they have to be. I mean, some guys just aren't like that. They're just, I go in, I build my world. This is it. If there's not enough room for you, figure it out, but this tour is just not like that. So I would say it's the best shed run I've ever done because of how courteous and polite everyone is, and how everyone's always thinking about other people than themselves between the staying and breaking camps. It's really great. And like I said, and Casey, he's just, dude, my backline's off that truck a lot of times at like 9 a.m. And that's awesome.
We're doing those bus calls at 8 a.m. now because of that exact reason, because your stuff, we've done, I remember we used to do like lobby calls at like sometimes 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And we would get there and you'd be like, still waiting on your truck.
Yeah, backline would be coming off the truck at noon.
Yeah.
Or 1.
I remember that. And you'd be like, I can show up whenever. It's not going to be ready. And this time, we were doing bus calls at 9 a.m. and you were getting there too late.
We were doing bus calls at 9 when we were direct support.
Correct.
When we started headlining, that first day we showed up at like 9:15 and my gear was just sitting in the wing already.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to bring up too, is that this is a true co-headliner and it's, Stained closed the first half, Breaking Ben, I think October 1st, as soon as that halfway point hit.
That's right, yeah.
It flip-flopped and Breaking Ben started closing, but so that's when the schedule started changing and everything. And this is probably easier than switching every other night, though, right?
Oh, yeah. This is the way to do it.
Yeah.
One band takes the first half, the next band takes the second half, because you at least get a groove for the first half and then a groove for the second half. When you're going night to night, which we've done that, we did that with Five Finger in 2018. And, it's just kind of hard on everybody, because there's just no group. From the people in the production offices to the lighting guys to the backline guys.
Yeah.
It's just every day.
That sounds terrible.
There's just no groove. And part of the success of touring is finding a groove, because it goes in quick and fast and efficient and goes out quick, fast, and efficient.
Yeah.
And when it's different every other day, you just never find that groove, So I prefer the way we've done it on this one.
Right.
I think it's really smart from the higher ups to make that call.
And between the two schedules, though, you are favoring finishing earlier, though, right?
Oh, always. Always.
Yeah.
I'm an old man now, dude.
Yeah.
If I can be in my bunk by 10 o'clock, showered, fed in my bunk at 10 o'clock, I'm living the good life, dude.
Yeah.
No,
for me, it doesn't change anything because it doesn't change anything at all. Like, it doesn't matter who finishes for the, doing merch. It's like 1 a.m. at the earliest.
When the show's over.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But for you, this can speed things up by what, an hour and a half, 2 hours?
2 hours.
2 hours?
Well, no.
What time was...
What time does Stain finish? 9:10. They finish at 9:10. That's when our changeover starts. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Backline on this tour is really fast or out. We're like 15 to 20 minute outs. So
that's ridiculous.
9:10. Well, a lot of that's Casey too.
Okay.
Casey, you got to give credit where credit. Our backline team has set our record for outs on this, and 100% that's due to Casey, and maybe motivating us to be faster.
Right.
He's but yeah, man, we've set our record. So Stain we would end at 9:10 when we were direct support, and by 9:30 I'd be hitting the showers,
getting after show food.
Yeah, and I'm not joking when 10:30 I've already showered. I've had my after show food, and I'd be in my bunk.
That is early.
Doom scrolling on Reverb, as one guitar tech does, by 10:30.
That's insane.
And now our show doesn't even finish till 10:55 or 11. It's a huge difference for me.
For sure. I'll be honest. It makes me feel, dude. I was whenever you guys were getting done so early. It kind of hurts.
Jealous?
Yeah, absolutely. Not as much now when you guys are finishing a little bit later. I still am, but dude, I would go on my bus. And 10 o'clock, it'd be like everyone's stuffing their faces and just laughing and drinking. And I'd be like,
work's over.
I'm not even close. I got
4 hours left.
Yep. Yeah. And it's always kind of bothered me, but that's just the nature of the job, and everybody has things that are good and bad about their job. But
that's it. It's like everything in life. There's pros and cons.
Yeah,
that's why you make the big bucks.
Whatever.
I make the medium bucks.
No, not at all. But I mean, that is interesting to have that both perspectives of direct support and headliner on the same tour.
Yeah.
But
I'll always say direct support. Always.
Yeah.
It's the slot.
And this is the first time. I think it's the first time I've been here. We were talking about it on this tour where you guys have actually closed, because 2 years ago with Alice in Chains, they closed every night. Last tour was with Disturbed. We were direct support.
That's right. So, Disturbed wasn't a co-headliner. That's right. Yep. Yes, this is the first
that I've experienced. Yeah. Because you were talking about, I'd be like, hey, why are you doing? I thought you do laundry or whatever, and you were like post-show laundry, and you were like
post-show laundry. That's the professional move.
Yeah, and you were like, no, not on a when we're headlining. And I was like, are you sure? And that's how I figured out that I was like, yeah, we've never done a closing.
Never headlining.
Yeah.
You think you have enough time until you get some shot ass dryer. And it takes 4 cycles to actually dry your stuff.
That's happened to me.
And then you're like, well, now it's bus call and my stuff's kind of soggy and I just got to throw it in a laundry bag and sort it tomorrow. And that's like my worst nightmare. My soggy clothes going into a bag to sit in a bus until the next day, where at that point I'd probably just wash them over again, right?
Might as well, yeah.
So, no post-show laundry when you're headlining. Direct support, though? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's the way to go. It's the way to live.
Yeah, I'd love to get done early like that one day. I don't know. I'm so used to this, though. It's just what I know.
Yeah.
But between, you've done so many tours with so many bands, you have always said that you prefer arenas versus amphitheaters is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And you said mainly because of the weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not having to, you were just talking about it in Phoenix the other day when we had all those dust storms coming in. You should have seen when I counted in the merch. It was all covered in dirt already.
Hate it. And I keep a meticulous rig.
Yeah.
I wipe it down. I have a Swiffer duster. I have a paintbrush. Like, I keep my world very, 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 very clean. You know, I live my life like that. Like, I like to clean. I'm a clean freak. I like things to be nice and clean. You know, I just do. I always have, you know, but and also the dirt and grime is really bad for the gear. It gets inside the pots and makes things not work and whatever. But yeah, you know, I hate that. I hate when you have a nice, clean, shiny, functioning guitar rig and it just comes out there just looking like it's 15 years old. I mean, just the dirt just gets in everything. You know, the top of the case, like you said, it's caked on there. Like, you literally at the end of the day, you could draw in the dirt on top of your racks and stuff. And ooh, boy, I hate that.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, I hate that. Because the next day I literally cannot do anything until I've cleaned.
Right.
You know, and I know there's guys who make fun of me because you'll see me out with like a wet towel, like wiping the outside of my cases down. You know?
Yeah.
But also it's like, yeah, and people think I'm weird because like it's a road case, dude. I'm like, yeah, but the thing is, over the next 3 or 4 shows, every time I'm handling it, now I've got Phoenix all over it. Like, the dirt it's on it. Now I'm dirty just from pushing my cases.
For sure.
Take 10 minutes, wipe it all down, you're done.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I hate the weather. The sheds are great because of how fast you can get in and out.
Because of how close the docks are.
Yeah, because most people don't realize, like a person who's never been backstage at a shed, it's like you see the band and there's a wall behind them, and right behind them there's their trucks. I mean, that gear just it just goes right out, and it's so fast. In the arenas, it's never that way, right? It's loading dock and down a hallway and around the back of the stage, and there's a VOM, another hallway that goes like it doubles your in and out time. But man, it's nice.
And sometimes there aren't even docks on these arenas too.
Sometimes there's not.
You're forking everything into the truck.
The older ones, you forked or ramps, and then it's. You know, I mean, it's harder to get in and out of them. But once you're in, it's the AC, the temperature is the same. You're not getting rained on. There's no tornadoes, no hail, no dust, no hurricanes, you're just not fighting the sun, you know, depending on how the sun is setting. Because
if it's right in your eyes or
man,
something.
well, you know, it's so bad for the instruments, drums, guitars, any of it. You know, they're wooden instruments. You can't let them bake in the sun. They move. Then you're working on, like... You're just constantly fighting a lot of things that in the arenas you just don't fight. I mean, you just load in and, you know, it's just a lot less worry and a lot less hassle, you know? Yeah. So yeah, I always prefer the arenas. There's always plenty of dressing rooms, you know, their locker rooms or whatever. And I just like the arena touring. The guitars are always more stable. You know, there's less fighting of the elements, and ultimately it makes my job easier.
Right.
Because they're not going through multiple temperature changes and everything a day. And, everything just becomes more stable in the backline world, whether it's a snare drum or a Les Paul. It's just better,
Yeah. Controlled environment.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's more comfortable, as a person, but the instruments are more comfortable too,
I can totally understand that. The one reason, I can totally see that, but from my perspective, it's a dumb one, because like the dumb reason that I like the amphitheaters is because in the arenas, at least the ones I've done with you guys, is the showers. I don't like these locker room showers where it's it's just like 10 shower heads.
Yeah.
And, oh no, dude, I ain't going in there.
The prison showers, right?
The prison showers.
Nah, man.
We
don't. Nobody ever uses them at the same time.
I know.
Just because there's 10 shower heads, you still shower one person at a time.
I know. It's just like sometimes it's not even a door. It's like, oh man, I just don't like that. I think the amps have better dressing rooms with star dressing rooms with star showers.
They do. Because the amphitheaters are music venues, and so they have music style dressing rooms.
And the other ones
they're locker rooms. They're for teams.
Yeah, and I don't know if people realize that. Yeah, when we go in these bands get ready in a locker room.
Literally a locker room. Yeah.
The offices are a locker room with a table, a folding table. So that's just the only thing. Every now and then you'll get like a coach's room where it has its own shower or something.
Yeah.
But I just like the consistency of having like a band headlining dressing room shower.
Do you know what the secret is?
What's that?
You find the referee's room or the umpire rooms.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Because they get their own rooms, like the umpire, and there'll be sometimes it'll be like a 2-banger shower, but a lot of times it's one showers.
You got to talk to Yoshi for that one.
I was you beat me to it, and I'd be like, man, I miss Yoshi, but because he's not touring with us anymore. But Yoshi would always let me know. He'd be like, hey man, I found the good laundry, not the mop head laundry. And hey man, I found that shower. This is where you want to shower. It's just a private shower.
So Yoshi would tell you, and you'd tell me if I came asking.
I'd be like, hey man, got good laundry here.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't mind the rapey prison showers. It's fine with me. It's just you do it long enough. You're just like,
shower's a shower. Right?
I'm taking a shower tonight, and if anybody walks in on me, well, then that's their fault.
Right.
Because you can obviously hear the shower going.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
And sometimes, sometimes if you're in the shower and you're like, man, and it's like that prison shower that's attached to a locker, and you hear somebody come in the locker and mess around, I'll give it a, you're showering, you try to make
some noise.
Make some noise.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, somebody's in there.
Yep.
But ultimately it's
you're going to shower either way.
It's their visual and their problem if they walk in on you, right? So this is all on them.
Yeah. And the other reason, I don't know, this actually might be an interesting perspective from you, because I like the fact that when you're on an amp and you are on side stage, when I'm not, when I'm come check out the show, you're on the same level as the players,
true.
You know what I mean? As the band.
True.
So
you're all
with an arena, you're
on the ground.
You're on the ground. So does that change anything at all for you at all? Like if you're doing guitar handoffs?
Not really the guitar. Obviously you go up and down a set of steps.
Right, that's about it.
In the arenas. So, I'm not old enough yet to hate that. I know some older guitar techs are just like, oh.
That don't like the stairs.
They don't like the steps. Like, oh man, my plantar fasciitis is killing me. These steps are killing me. My gout's flaring up.
Yeah.
I know some old crew guys that'll say things like that. I'm not there, I'm not there in life yet. It is easier and faster on the sheds because of that. Like even your guitar looms to your pedal boards, everything, you're all in the same. It's just faster, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like you just get in and ready so much faster, and you get like even on the loadout, right? So I've got to go get the pedal board. I've got to pack this up. So I'm making these trips out for things and back to my world, not having to go down those steps every time. It's just faster.
For sure.
Like you are just in and out of those sheds literally twice as fast as you would be. Because every little thing, I got to go up the steps and come back to get because all your cases and your world's on the floor. So like everything in life, there's pros and cons of either way, and you just have to weigh what do you prefer? Because no matter what, there's going to be negative things to everything. But, I'll take the longer in and outs to not fight the rain and the dust and the weather. I just, oh man, one good thunderstorm and, You know, I mean, I've literally had it before where I have visqueen and tarps over my rig and E-tape, you know, so everything but the winds are like 40 mile an hour. So you're literally holding the tarps on your rack and the rain's like hitting you. You're just, you know, you're just like, you know, just like, you know, it's like the wind, the tarps are flying up and you're trying to keep all of your gear dry and, you know, that kind of thing where you know, that all goes away. I'm like, man, those steps look great. Just put them right there.
Yeah.
You know? But I literally have.
For sure.
You know, that one came in on that Five Finger tour in 2018. We were in one of the Carolinas. I can't remember where it's at, but there's an amphitheater there. And we've done it since where there's like no covering.
Raleigh or Charlotte?
Maybe.
One of those?
One.
Okay.
It's a shed that all the big tours go through, but there's just really no covering, like on the wings, whatever. So they have pop-up tents they put out for the backline worlds to keep the sun off of you. But there's nothing. We were there and this crazy storm came in. Dude, it was
Maybe I haven't done this one then. I think I would remember that.
So fast. It was in 2018. The weather, it just came out of nowhere. We all tarped our gear up. The winds got that. This is why I'm specifically but the wind was so bad. Like even with the clips and the E-tape around your tarps and visqueen, man, the wind was about to just blow all that stuff off. So I was literally just hugging my Guitar World cases to keep the tarps down, right?
Yeah.
As the wind is coming in, the rain, you're just completely in the rain. Like your world is in the rain. There's no covering. And it's lightning and thundering. And it came in so quick, they didn't have time to... The lights and the truss started popping. Bam, bam. They're all exploding. The water was coming down and the subs, you know, they put subs for the PA on the floor or on the ground.
Yeah.
The subs were starting to float away because most of those amphitheaters are like this. So the water always drains down.
Oh, no.
And so like I had that moment where I'm like, and then you're just shaking in the wind and your tarps are trying to blow away and the lights are exploding ahead of you and you're like looking down and the PA's floating away and you're like, I wish we were in an arena. You know?
Oh my God.
You know, that kind of thing. You get 2 or 3 days like that on your shed touring career, and you're just always aware of how quick it can change. Dude, that storm came in out of nowhere. It was like a sunny day. It was like a sunny day.
No, I can totally.
It was wild.
Yeah, that'll change things for sure. And you would think I'd care about this more, considering I work with shirts, and as soon as they get wet, they're pretty much ruined. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe I just haven't had enough bad experiences that, you know. But
it's the worst.
It was in Florida that I've had it only happen once where rain started pouring and I had like 2 pallets worth of stuff that I was trying to get into the truck and it was just pouring on it. There's nothing I could do about it. But you know, in Tampa or West Palm Beach, out of those 2 venues, we always end up canceling, postponing, or doing something with one of those shows. And this one, we canceled one of them. 2 years ago, we canceled another one. I can't even remember anymore because it's just always the same story.
It was a hurricane, right?
This time it was, yeah. And then 2 years ago, I think it was too. Yep.
It was a hurricane on the Alice tour. I forgot about that. There was one that went through and we held, but we did West Palm, but we didn't do Tampa.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't do it at all.
It was a hurricane as well.
Yep. So it's always the same story. So I see where you're coming from.
That's Jerome territory right there.
For sure. Yeah.
Good time, Jerome.
But yeah, you're pretty much busy all year. You're a very busy backline guy. I think you've been home. Last year was one of your busiest years of your career. Maybe I don't know.
Up until this year.
This year was busier than last year.
Yeah, I've only been home this entire year, right around like 7 weeks.
Yeah, and I mean
we're backside of October now.
Yep.
I mean we're coming up. Yeah, I mean I'll have, you know, almost 10 months on the road this year, something like that. You know, 9.5. It's a lot. You know.
Yeah,
and it's been good. It's been good. That's not me complaining either. That's
no,
me,
for sure.
I'm very lucky and I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, the way, if people don't know, the way things work is you can, I mean, at least for me, I don't know if it is for you, like you get an offer and it's up to you if you want to take it or not.
Correct.
I mean, no one's forcing you to do anything. So you kind of make your own schedule, so to speak, you know? So you've made the year busy because you want to stay busy.
That's right.
You know? So you've worked with, Breaking Ben for 8 years now, but you've also worked with Sum 41 in this moment, A Day to Remember, Bush, and I forgot about Three Doors Down. You mentioned that.
Down, Seven Dust.
Okay.
Theory of a Dead Man.
I knew there was more that I was forgetting about.
Just goes on, yeah.
Yeah, but you'd say, as we were talking about yesterday, you're A Day to Remember was probably your second now that you stay busiest between them and Bush, maybe?
Yeah, the A Day to Remember thing for about a year, maybe a little over a year, it was really great. It was like the Breaking Ben and A Day to Remember schedules just went boom, boom, boom. They just never touched each other. And I just stayed busy with the two bands,
Yeah.
I look after Kevin Scaff on stage left and Jeremy too. The singer Jeremy has a guitar he plays for one song, sometimes two songs a night.
Yeah.
But, it's an easy thing. But yeah, it was just great thing. I mean, for a really long time there, I was just kind of working for Jasen and Kevin, and I just stayed busy,
Yeah.
And like I knew it would eventually, those schedules overlap. So the Breaking Ben thing is my longtime main gig and home. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I love Kevin. Actually, I come home from this. I'm gonna be home for 3 days, and then I'm going right back out with A Day to Remember.
Yeah.
And looking after my buddy Kev. Just texted him today about
Awesome.
guitar pickups and all the fun stuff that we like out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and as we talked about earlier, I mean, you've been busy, and a part of that reason is because you are with Keith, and you're playing guitar for Keith Wallen
playing
now.
guitar for Keith.
Yeah, so you get to see a lot of different sides of this. You're seeing, you're playing in a band, you're teching for another band, you're in a bus, and then you're in a van, and so you're doing a lot of it.
yeah, do it. Yeah, I sure am. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Keith's band has been together for how long? Like 2 years, maybe.
So the way it really started with me was there was a live stream that was supposed to happen, and Keith and Jerome, they kind of just pulled me aside and asked me if I'd want to play guitar. I was just like, "Yeah, you kidding me? Yeah, I want to play guitar." and I was always a fan of Keith. That's another thing is Keith was putting out solo music even before he put a band together, and I just always loved it. I'm a fan first and foremost. With the Keith's thing, I think he's just one of the best songwriters, and the melody that guy. I'm a fan. You know what I mean? And so when they asked me, it's just like, dude, absolutely. His record was already out, and I think the live stream was supposed to be me on guitar. It was gonna be Joe Rickard, who produced that first record, on drums.
Yeah.
Joe used to play drums for In Flames and Red as well. And then the bass player of In Flames at the time, Bryce, I think was going to do it. Okay. So it was going to be this little live stream thing. And as far as I was concerned, or I knew it was like a one-time thing. Like it was never like, they weren't coming to me and be like, "We're starting a band. Do you want to be in the band?" They were like, "We're going to do this live stream. Do you want to play guitar?" I'm like,
okay.
Well, dude, this is going to be so much fun. And like, so this is the backside of the pandemic where things were starting to happen a little bit. I think we had maybe done one tour already with Breaking Ben or a leg or something. Yeah. I can't quite remember the order of it. But that's how it all started with the Key thing.
And so whenever you got the offer or being asked to be like, "Hey, we're actually going to be touring and in a van and do all this," was there any question where you were like, "Man, do I really want to go back into a van?" Or were you just like, "You know what? I believe in this music so much like that. I'm just going to," like, how much did you even hesitate to do that? None. Really?
Nah, just like, fuck it, I'm in. What's the meme that, "You son of a bitch, I'm in"?
Yeah.
That's it.
Really?
It just was, man. And like, like I said, Keith is just so good,
And a lot of that.
I believe in him.
Right.
And I believe in, like I said, I was kind of a fan of it,
And that makes all the difference, because if it was some other person or whatever that was like, "Hey, do you want to be in this band?" and you probably wouldn't be doing it, as we talked about. It's just like
no. Yeah,
it's the fact that it's Keith and you really like the music.
It's Keith, and I really like the music, and I never had any hesitation.
Yeah.
And I still don't, and the van touring is hard. It's very challenging, but it's also fun as hell. I mean, we laugh and we just pick on Blake and just, dude, it's just so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And so it's endearing, you know what I mean?
And so you're driving on that one too. And you said, I think you were talking about maybe like last week or so, that you take like the first drive after the show.
I do. I prefer that. I volunteer for that. And that works out great for everyone. First of all, I'm a terrible trailer backer-upper guy. Right. Our bass player, Nick, does it, and he's a dude, it's a fucking wizard. He will maneuver that trailer first time, no redos, no I don't even know how he got that good.
Yeah.
You know, like where do you get that good? So, you know, he does all of the like going into the venue driving.
Okay.
So
you do all the highway driving.
That's it. Because the after show driving is leave the venue, get on a highway, set the cruise control for 300 miles until wherever we're going to sleep at, you know. So it's easy. It's nighttime, less traffic. It's easier driving. And the backside of that is I'm a very sober dude. I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. I don't do any drugs. I'm a very sober guy. And that allows my guys to have some drinks, you know, like Blake and Nick, like they like to, nobody in Keith's band parties. None of those dudes, go for it. You know, you don't see anyone just getting shit canned or getting hammered. But they do like to just have a drink after a show and unwind, or a couple of beers, you know, and that allows, you know, and, like, you know, a front of house guy usually likes to smoke weed. I don't know what it is with that. Like front of house guys like to smoke weed, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I like it because it's easier. I'm a dude who stays up late on those solo tours anyway, you know? So yeah, I drive, and it allows everyone after the show to have some drinks and smoke some pot, and not pot, sound like a, are you doing dope? Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm the sober guy. So it works out really well, you know?
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. I mean, I don't know if you ever thought you'd be back in a van after, you know, touring this many years. And
I didn't.
You know, that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, if you'd asked me in, you know, 2018, you think you'd ever tour in a van again? You'd be like, no.
Yeah,
but I would have also, and to this day though, I would say no to a van as a tech.
Yeah, no, I can see that. And we were talking about it
Not
earlier,
a chance.
and I was just
Not
like,
a chance.
I was talking about how I was like, yeah, there's probably things we would do in our 20s that we wouldn't do now, and I hadn't even forgot that you tour in a van now still. But I mean, you have bunks. It's a little different.
It's not a van. It's a Sprinter, and it's got a TV in it, and it's got a fridge, and there's 6 bunks in it with curtains. It's like a mini.
Same.
It's not the same.
It's not the 15 passenger.
It's not that white cargo life.
Right.
That life that we all knew in 2004 and 5. It's not that.
For sure.
You know, I'm very comfortable, and it has a generator, and we stop at truck stops and we take showers. We'll stop at a Love's, take a shower, we run the generator, it gets cold. You have a bunk, you lay down, it's got a phone charger, curtain. It's good. Like I'm very comfortable. I sleep. You know, it's different. You know what I mean? But yeah, in a van as a tech, nah, player, ain't happening.
Yeah, I know. Now that does seem really fun to do, especially with Keith, Blake, you know, Nick.
It's fun, man. We
I
laugh.
can see that.
We have so much fun. You know, it really is. You know, I can't knock that van touring because, like I said, we sleep comfortable in the Sprinter. It's cold, it's AC'd, and man, the camaraderie that it has been built in that thing is incredible. You can't even put a price on it, you know? And we just make fun of Blake the whole time.
I know.
we just pick on Blake the whole time, and Blake's just like, I'm wearing thin, guys. I'm wearing thin. Why is it always me?
That's amazing. And speaking of him, it was only like 2 weeks ago, we were in Vegas, and you guys shot a music video. And
we did.
And you got to give it to Blake 21 times in the face.
I did. I got to slap him in the face 21 times.
That is insane.
I almost bloodied his nose on one of them.
Yeah, and I was like, "Did you actually hit him?" And you were like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. You know, our director and the cameraman Coco and the cameraman were like trying to kind of coach me. They're like, "So, you know, when you're slapping, you want to try to do this because we want it to look natural. And you know, in a movie, when you're fighting, you do this, you do this." And I was like, "Guys, I'm just gonna slap him, so it's gonna look natural because I'm just gonna slap him."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Okay." Dude, it was the best. It was the best. Things are different though with Blake now. Like, you know, I've always looked at him as like my little roadie brother, right? And like, you know, he's I wouldn't say green because I don't think Blake is green, but he's still learning. He's still becoming a full-fledged road guy, you know, and he's always like my little roadie brother that I like to pick on. Like I can pick on him like that, but you know, you can't.
Yeah.
You know, because that's my little brother. So I can do that, but if you can't.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, after the slaps, I told him, I was like, I just don't want to pick on you anymore. I don't know. Things are different now. I think we trauma bonded. Like right. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't pick on him anymore. We usually do this thing in the breaking bin changeovers where after it's all business up there. This is serious shit, right?
Yeah.
But we're really fast with our changeovers. They're half hour, and about 15 minutes in, we're generally kind of just hanging. We're show ready. Everyone's kind of doing some last minute tuning or whatever. But I've always had this thing where I get on my talkback mic and I'm just like, Cowboy to Blake. Of course, everyone hears it. The Claire text, the monitor guy, guitar text, front of house, and I'm just always like, "Hey, Cowboy to Blake," and he's like, "Oh God, what?" And I just make a joke or I make fun of him. I beat up on him for the whole crew to hear. We're all hearing it. Yeah, and lately, like even last night, it was like Cowboy to Blake. He's like, what? I was just like, "Hey man, stellar work today, man. Love you, buddy. Have a great show. See you on the dock."
He's probably like,
I can't anymore. Something's different after slapping him 21 times in the desert.
That's awesome.
Dude, I'm so proud of him, by the way. Yeah. I'm going to take the time to say that. Man, he's just grown up to be a full-on backline guy.
For sure. I talked to him about that too. Yeah, because I did an episode with him before this, and whenever I met him 2 years ago, you didn't know him before that Cedar tour, right?
No, that's when I met him as well. Yeah.
So he was doing TM merch, driving for Lacey, and it's like, I don't know. He's a backline guy now, you know, and he's come a long way, and that was his first arena tour. It was my first arena tour, so a lot's happened, you know.
Yeah, I taught him how to solder on this tour. And he built a drum loom and built a drum panel and devised his own little rig and came up with his own system. And he built it himself, one solder at a time. And just impressed as hell. I'm like, well, look at, I'm just so fucking proud. My little baby boy's all grown up. He's doing like big boy backline stuff. And, like I said, at the backside of this tour, I'm like, man, I can't even pick on him anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes he makes it too easy. Sometimes I'm like, hey. I got to do this because look at you. Like I got to pick on you right now. But
sets it up too.
But it's different now. It's different now. It's like, man, he's just. I tell him all the time. I'm like, I'm just so proud of him.
Yeah, I know. He's definitely come a long way, man. And I'm glad he's here after Sean's been through a handful of texts from here. I know Blake's planning to stick around, and that was kind of part of the deal when he made whenever he got here.
Yep. And Sean loves him, and Sean has needed a guy because Sean hasn't had a guy
for sure.
And I think any band guy or any artist will tell you their comfort level is totally different when they just have a working relationship with a tech. Like they've got their guy. They know they don't worry. They know things are the way they want it every time. There's a groove and a trust in that working relationship. And it makes the band guy have a better tour and a lot more fun. And Sean has generally had a new tech every other tour, every two tours. And and that's not necessarily like it's not a thing that Sean has it's not a hard gig to work for Sean. And he's obviously like so sweet and easy and nice. But, we've tended to kind of get guys who, kind of like me with A Day to Remember, where it's like, well, yeah, but I got to go because my other gig is working now. And we get a lot of those guys who are great techs, but when they come in that they're not looking to be here. They're available. They're available, so they can do this tour or these dates, but then they have to go back to their band on whatever. And we've had a lot of that on the Stage Right guitar world. All of that over there since Rich left. Every tour, it's been a new guy.
That's actually probably been more than the drum.
Absolutely, since Rich left.
Yeah, I think we've had
Rich left
4 or 5 people on Stage Right. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. And I'm hoping Max stays because I love Max and the band loves Max.
He's amazing, dude.
He crushes it and he's a great tech and a great hang. And, selfishly, it makes my job easier, when you have a guy over there who's got the gig,
He's got good vibes too. He's just a very positive guy.
He's so much fun. He's good vibes. But, I'm the dude who trains the new guitar tech every time they come in. So, it's like Max has just got that gig. And same thing, we've had great techs over there, but they're all techs that have other gigs that they've got to go to. So it's not like, once again, it's not like that gig is a very hard backline gig.
Yeah.
We just haven't found anyone who's like, I'm a free agent and I'm looking to find my long-term gig.
For sure.
It's all guys who have other gigs but are available to help us out and do certain tours. But man, having Max over there, it just makes my life easier, because I don't have to train another guy on the next tour. And, Max is just really great at problem solving and troubleshooting, and he knows how to work on guitars, and he's the perfect fit over there. And I hope he doesn't go. Max, if you I swear to God, if you listen or watch this motherfucking podcast, don't you leave me. Don't leave me.
Yeah.
Don't go.
I would love to see him back too, man. I mean, he's been great. I actually wanted to get him on this as well, but
you should.
I know.
You'll probably laugh a lot more.
Dude, he's
funnier
some
than me.
Insane stories that were so funny that I wanted to ask him about. He was telling him on the day off in Sacramento while we were waiting for rooms one day, and I was just like, man, I got to get this guy on. He's a great guy, man.
Yeah,
and some of the shit he was saying that he did as a kid just cracks me up. But
he's a Florida man.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He is.
He's a Florida man.
Yeah. But speaking of having a guy, I've talked to a lot of people, and they say that you are the go-to guy when it comes to fractals.
Yeah.
Would you? So you'd say that's a fair statement?
I say it's a fair statement. Yeah. I get a lot of my work. I get a lot of my gigs based on that. Like I have a reputation of being like a fractal guy.
Yeah.
I've just been on them a long time. I've been on the Fractal XFX 2s and the XLs, and Jasen, we got the XFX 3s, and I think it was 2018 when the XFX 3 came out. We got it before they were ready, and the artist deal at the time was you have to pay full price, but you could have them now. So it was before, they were still kind of in beta. They weren't even released to the public yet, and that's when we got the XFX 3. So I've been working on the XFX 3 for 6 years now or something.
Yeah.
And so I don't like to say I'm good with it. You know me, I'll always say I'm a shot bitch. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Anything you see me do, don't do it like that.
Like everyone says the opposite though, man.
Learn the right way. So I don't like to say that I'm good with the XFX. I'm just really familiar with it because I've worked with it for so long, and I've worked with it in so many different ways, building like kind of more like even Jasen's rack, like using a lot of the deeper function of an axe effects. I could get it. This is not a gear nerd podcast, so I won't get into that, but but yeah, I'm just really familiar with it, but I'm really fast.
Right.
And that's a thing that most of the time I think is more appreciated than anything. It's like whether I have the computer and the axe edit open, or I'm just right on the front of the Fractal when an artist, if you're in rehearsal and they're just like, hey, do you think we could do this and this and that? And, and they don't even know if an axe effects can do that. And you just go like, yeah, dude, no problem. Hold on. Check it. There it is. Okay, let's move on. That, like just being really knowledgeable and fast is something that I will say I am with a Fractal. I'm fast with it. And I've just been on them. So it's like anything, you the more time you put on it, the more you use it, the better you become with it. But yeah, I do, and the Fractal is such a huge part of modern guitar touring, from Metallica to Taylor Swift to Breaking Benjamin. It's fractals, man.
Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate thing that if you don't adjust to that technology, you'll get left behind, whether it's the quad cortex or the Kemper or the Fractal. If you're not learning that digital platform, because a lot of guitar techs or older guitar techs or people in general don't like the digital stuff, amps and pedals and more traditional stuff. And I get that. But, unfortunately, the modern world of touring is very digital, and it's very high tech, and it's very technical, and you just have to know that stuff. So from the beginning of the digital integration of guitar rigs and touring, I just knew like this is how it's going to go, and you should learn this stuff, So,
and that's led to, would you say most of the gigs that you get calls for are because of that specifically?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I think, the Fractal thing I would say is a huge part of how I get work. But also a lot of it too is just you get recommendations from fellow touring people, because a lot of it too is just personality, just people knowing that you can live on a bus with other people and not be a problem. I mean, you know how it goes. Like so much of it is that too,
Yeah.
And I think that just comes with experience and whatnot. But yeah, the Fractal thing is how I get gigs, and I'll turn gigs down too, that if it's just a thing as a guitar. I say guitar techs are always like, in video games, if you're like a fighting video game and you're selecting characters And as you scroll through the characters, they have stats. So it'll be like all their stats.
Right.
And you see different bars go up and down. Like, oh, this one's super fast, but not strong. And this one's super strong, but not fat.
Right.
Guitar techs are that way, or crew guys are that way. You have your specialties, you know.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, so it's not a good or a bad thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not a big amplifier repair guy, you know. And, you know, I'm just not. So I got a gig offered last year, and I talked to a production manager, and he's just like, well, you know, the big part of this gig is vintage amplifiers. And I was just like, okay, well, let me just stop you right there. I'm telling you right now, I'm not the guy for your camp. I'm not the guy for this gig. That is not what I do.
Okay.
And I recommended them a guy, Trace from Bush, from Voodoo Amps, who is like, I think one of the best amp guys in the business. And he got the gig, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a thing there. So when you're looking, when you're looking for a Fractal guy, you call Fractal guys. When you're looking for an amp guy, you call an amp guy.
Yeah.
You know?
You know who's good at what based off of their experience.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, you know? And then there's some guitar techs who are luthiers who aren't really rig guys. You know, there are great guitar techs out there who could build you a Les Paul out of this table. You know, like they're just these incredibly talented luthiers. But if they looked in the back of Jasen's rack, they'd just be like, I don't know what any of this does.
Yeah.
Like, they're not rig guys and MIDI guys and signal flow guys. So, but once again, it's like the little stats, you know. And then there are the super techs that just all stats maxed.
Really?
And I know a couple of those. I won't name names.
But they're out there.
There are a couple of guys I think are basically the best guitar techs like in the business.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not one of them for sure. But I know a couple that I call super techs. I'm just like, I mean, they're the best techs money can buy, and I don't even know how they learned all of it, but they do all of it. You know.
And with all these offers coming throughout the years and all the bands you've worked for, you stick with Breaking Benjamin as your priority. And can you even put it into a few words why is that? I mean, is it the people? Is it the job? What is it that you've made your priority?
Yeah, the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people. Look, man, I'm not a dude who makes a lot of his decisions in his life based on money. You know, I'm not a guitar tech who's out chasing money. You know, call those like gig chasers. Like they're always trying to get the next bigger paycheck. And you know, and I think you and I have talked about this before, but you know, the most important thing to me in life is being happy. That's it, right? Obviously, money's important to me. Jerome, I need a raise. Money is important to me, but you know, it's not everything. And you know, you only get one ticket on the ride of life. There's no redos, right? And nobody is going to be on their deathbed with their last dying words say, man, I really wish I would have made an extra 10 grand. It's just that's not how you go. You know what I mean? And so it's only so important to me. What's important to me is being happy and I love what I do. I consider myself so lucky and so fortunate to have become a guitar tech and get to travel the world with these, what I consider some of the most kick-ass guitar players to do it. And you know, I'm just so lucky, and I don't want to ever be miserable out here doing it. And I've had some gigs before where I found myself unhappy with it, so I left those gigs. You know,
for sure.
You know, because just like a band can fire you, you can fire a band. You can just not come. You can decide to not work for that band. But you know, I kind of learned early in this business that, you know, if you're unhappy out here, or if you don't really love the people you're doing it with and the band you're working for, you just start hating it because you're away from your family, you're traveling, and it's a lot of work, you know, and you just start kind of getting grumpy. But, you know, to me, waking up with happy and excited to get out of my bunk to see all the people I work with every day, you can't put a price tag on that, you know. And with Jerome and Keith and Jasen and, you know, Aaron, I call him Dickie, but you know, but just with our guys, you know, like it's just great. And it's not like that everywhere where you just can't wait to see everybody. You know, some days you get out of your bunk and you're just like, here we go again. And I don't ever want to work for that. There's no amount of money worth it to me because you just find yourself miserable because you're away from your loved ones. You're away from your person and your pets and everything that really makes you happy back home. And it's got to feel like, you got to really be happy or else touring becomes real dark. Like you just become unhappy and distant. And, you know, I don't ever want to be that guy. So it's really important to me to to prioritize that, the people, you know.
Yeah.
So you said it, like, what keeps you with Breaking Ben? It was like, it's the people, man. You know, it's the people. You know, if Jerome left and the entire band changed, you know, I'd probably maybe I'd be on my way. You know what I mean? Like, but it's this is my family, you know?
Yeah. As of the last 3 years, this band is all I know. You know, I've been here. This is the only band that I've worked for repeatedly. I don't know why. In the first 6 or 7 years, it was just like, as soon as I would do one tour, by the time I got off that tour, I had a different tour scheduled. And it was just like, not only that, the gigs I were doing just weren't, there was nothing that I was just like wanting to come back.
You hadn't found it yet.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, things just lined up. And next thing you know, I'm on this tour with these guys that I got through Facebook, you know, from Jerome posting. And somehow I got the gig, and I've just been here ever since. And this is kind of all I know, at least at this level. I've never worked for another band in the arena level or shed level or anything like that. And it's nice to know, like, that first of all, as a merch person, I work for the band directly, but I can go into that dressing room and they know who I am.
Yeah.
And it's not a problem, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're just like, what do you need, man?
It's not like that everywhere.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And
I've had a gig before where I worked for a guy. Once again, we'll leave names out, but I worked for a guitar player for over a year and never even had his phone number.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't.
I understand. Yeah.
He was always really nice and he was always really great. Like, I enjoyed working for him. I would work for him again.
Yeah.
But like, it was always just like, I was an employee. Yeah. I was the tech. He was like, and it was a band that stayed at different hotels, right? So their bus would come in and he'd show up for sound check and be like, "Hey man," and hand him a guitar, and then I'd see him again at show, and then by the time I loaded the truck, their bus had already left. They were gone, you know. So it's like, we weren't friends, you know.
Right.
We were co-workers in a way, you know, and it was different, you know. And that's, like you said, that's not the case here. You go into the dressing room and, you know, you laugh with the band and tell jokes. Their family grab a topo out of their fridge. You know, 100%. That's not like that in a lot of places.
I was about 30 seconds away from saying that the other day that I went to. I had a really long day, and you know, we're on different buses, and you're on a different bus than I am on this tour. But I went to the bus, and I was just like, "Hey man, you guys got like a topo I can have, man? I just had a long day." And they just gave me a whole case.
Yeah,
you know,
that's that right there answers that question, right? Like, why are you still with Breaking Ben? You know, it's like, just like that, man. You guys got to here's a whole case, man.
Yeah,
thank you for everything you do,
for sure. And they constantly say thank you. And yesterday we had a situation where
they do.
I had a truck that I was waiting on since like noon, and it didn't show up till like 5, and doors were opened, and I needed to get this merchandise in the building. And Sean's like, "Do you need help, man? Like, I'll come out there and, you know, pull boxes for you if you need." And I was like, "No, man, we got it." But the fact that he offered, it says a lot. And there's been times where, you know, I lay out these drumsticks and guitars for them to sign, and they'll open the boxes if I'm busy, or if they see them there. I've come back on this tour, and I left them there because I had to go do something else. Come back, and they laid them all out for me. You know, and I'm like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, they're like that, man. They really are. You know, if these guys, if the Breaking Ben dudes had to go out and push their own cases into a truck, they would.
Yeah.
They would. I wouldn't let them, but they would. Right. You know? And even with Keith's solo thing, I have to yell at him sometimes.
Yeah.
Because he wants to help load in and stuff, and I'll be in the trailer dumping him, like, you know, I'll give him the in keys. Like, no, because I don't want him getting hurt, you know, or something, you know, or I don't know. That's always my biggest fear. It's like, you know, you're a guitar player. If you accidentally sprain your wrist or smash a finger, like, we're fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, it's like, but they would. My point is they would, you know.
Yeah, and the same thing with Sean. It's not like I'm going to be like, "Yeah, man, go ahead and come out here."
Yeah,
I mean, I would.
Awesome, dude. I'll see you at the truck.
Yeah, no.
See you at the dock, bud.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but no, I mean, the fact that he offered, I mean, I know he would do it if he had to, but it's not like I'm going to make him do it.
Yeah, it's the fact that he's the drummer in the band and he offered.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
They're all like that, every single one of them.
Yeah, and we talked about it on another day off, and we won't name names again, but you did have some offers this year, I believe that were some of the biggest offers of your career.
And yeah, absolutely the biggest offer of my career, yeah.
And you ultimately turned them down.
I did.
And you stayed, and a lot of things went into that, but as you said, this would have changed your life. I mean,
yeah.
You would have the people you know and tour with, and I mean, it would have changed everything. And that says a lot that you would turn down the biggest offer of your career to stay where you're at, you know. And you've been here 8 years, and I don't know how many more years you have ahead of you, but the fact that you've been here, I don't think you're going anywhere anytime soon, you know. But that, I'm sure that was a lot to think about. I mean, I don't know how easy you'd say the decision was, or how long you.
It was difficult. I mean, it was difficult. I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep for 2 days.
Yeah,
you know, but there was family stuff involved in that too.
For sure,
it was all encompassing.
Right.
Because the particular offer you're talking about, I would have had to walk away from Keith, and I would have had to walk away from Breaking Benjamin. But you know, I would have also have to left my family, and my grandmother was very unwell this year. She passed in July. I would have indeed been overseas when all that happened. Yeah. And obviously, you know, like I got to go home to be with her and say goodbye, and that wouldn't have happened on this other gig.
Right.
I would have obviously been flown home for the funeral, but I went home twice. I went home during her last days, and then I left tour again, and you know. And I have a very, very old dog that's very important to me, my little Roxy Nugget, and you know, she's unwell. We got a cancer diagnosis in her in January, and you know, there's so many other. It's not even just a professional thing. There was like, I don't know, what if that would have happened, you know? And that organization is actually currently on the road again, and you know, when you get on those super huge tours, you can't be like, hey, I need to miss a bunch of these shows because my dog is unwell.
I remember you saying that.
Breaking Benjamin, I told them about that at the top of the year, about Roxy and they're just, you know, that was an agreement we all had with Jerome and Jay, all of them. They're like, they know if I get that call for Roxy, like I'm going home. Jason was even like, bro, I'll set up my own gear. He literally said that to me. He's like, I'll set up my own gear, dude. If you go home, you know? And that kind of stuff, you can't put a price tag on that. And there's no amount of money and paycheck and stature and resume building, and none of that shit matters to me when it comes to, it's like, well, now you have maybe a fatter bank account and you're in your new house or whatever you may choose to do with that. But that costs you the opportunity to go say goodbye to your grandmother. And maybe I would have to then see Roxy put down through a FaceTime call, you know, and like none of that shit's worth it to me. And then on the backside, that offer came in 2 weeks before the start of a Breaking Benjamin tour. Yeah. Right. And a Breaking Benjamin tour that also had those Keith Arena shows on the back, some of the biggest opening for like aside from my grandmother and my dog, you're just like, man, I'm about to walk away from some of my best friends who count on me for so many things, you know, and they were all very supportive, and they all told me to go. Yeah, they knew. And that's how you know they're really your friends and they really love you. Even Jason was like, unbelievable. Oh yeah, you gotta do that. Dione was like, you gotta go do that. You just gotta go. And I know we start touring in 2 weeks, but we'll figure it out. I don't know what we're gonna do, but we'll figure it out. But you gotta go do that. They were all telling me to go.
That's incredible.
You know, but that's like they're all telling me to abandon them and fuck them, put them in a hard place. But you know, it was all of it, man. You know, it just goes back to that whole thing about like, yeah, I don't make my decisions based on money. You know, it's about being happy. You know. And sure enough, I predicted it just right on with my grandmother, man. She really got unwell at the end of June and passed in July. But, you know, I went home for 5 days just to be by her bedside. And it was really great, you know, to be able to do that. And had I made other decisions, I probably wouldn't have got that. And that's a regret you live with like maybe the rest of your life. Yeah. And that's not worth... It's not worth money to me. You know, you can't.
And the whole thing with pets too, like things worked out. My dog passed away a couple of years ago, but it happened when a tour had ended and another one hadn't started, but I was about 2 weeks away from going on tour. And I was wondering the same thing, like how ridiculous do you sound to say something like that? Yeah. Like, hey, my dog passed away. Like, I gotta go. You know what I mean?
Or my dog's about to pass away.
Right. You know, exactly. You know? And it's just
because I will be there unless something happens. Oh, like I want to be there to do that.
Right.
You know, not she's gone, but I got to go do that.
For sure.
You know,
Yeah,
and it's important.
And that's, like you said, it's just not going to work with every camp.
No,
and
especially the real big ones.
Overseas, for sure.
Yeah, like, hey, I know we have, I know there's 3 sold out stadium nights in Italy tonight, but I got to go back to Franklin because my dog's not well.
Yeah, I know, man.
That's not how that works,
So that was
just not.
Yeah, that was a big decision you had to make, and I think you did the right thing.
I do too. Yeah, I don't regret that. I don't regret that. I don't even think about that daily. You know what I mean? Like,
you're not dwelling on it.
No, hell no. Hell no. And ironically enough, too, like, just the way the world works is that offer came in the day that The Wolf came out.
Oh, the Keith Wallen single.
Yeah. That he and I shot the video for.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And maybe that's just one of those signs too, where you're like
some
and I'm not like some like funny, like, hippie with a bunch of crystals or anything, but like sometimes it's like the universe is testing you. The universe puts things out there and it's like, it's your path to choose, but so it's like, we were so excited because the Wolf video, like the Wolf came out today, and then here's this thing that's like, well, what about this?
Yeah.
Here's all this, but you got to walk away from all that. What do you do? It's funny how that happens. Like, for sure, the timing of that.
I know, and you're pretty invested in this band. 8 years later, and the band just released a new song called "Awaken."
Yeah,
and when it came out, you shared something on socials, I think just on your story. And I didn't know you were involved at all in the making of it, or what role did you play in the creation of that?
So I've got an engineering credit on it, right?
Okay.
And so especially after moving to Nashville, I'm like Jason's little right-hand man whenever I'm there, because I obviously go tour with other bands. But when Jasen in Nashville is, great producer, songwriter, engineer. He works with other bands in the studio. And when I'm around, I just kind of become his like little right-hand studio man. A lot of it is the guitar teching, right? So a lot of it is string changing, pickup changing, just maintaining the guitars, having them ready to be recorded. Because that's a huge part of it, man. Getting good guitar sounds. Like, you just got to have a good guitar that's set up right and ready to be recorded. But also just the original drum sessions were done over at Loud Studios on Music Row at Nashville, and helping him place mics, sitting behind the console, pushing buttons, helping him with the patch bay, moving. We did some a lot of reamping sessions, moving microphones on cabinets, just the engineering side of it, especially more so on the guitar side, just chasing tones, lugging gear around, just kind of being there for the sessions and just helping them bring it to life, So it's all that,
I didn't even know Jasen did some of this stuff until
he's incredible, man.
He's working, with Mudvayne, and he worked with Love and Death, and I mean, I don't know, Love and Death. When he told me about that, I was like, I didn't even know he was involved in that. I mean, it's technically in the band, even though they're not really active, but.
Correct, yeah. And so I did the guitars on that record. So I have an engineering credit on that record.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so those guitars, I reamped those at my home studio. So all of those guitars, funny enough, that the guitars on that record are the 2 amps that I used in Jacknife for all those years.
No, no way.
No, 100%. It's a block letter 5150. I have an original 1992 5150, and it's a 5152 that I bought brand new in like 2003, but those are the amps on that record. But so I reamped that, and then talking about Jasen working with Mudvayne, I was there for those sessions, doing all the guitar setup, and on the new Mudvayne thing, we used my JCM 800 at the studio in Nashville because he had requested an 800 for the studio, and Jason's like, can we use yours? I really don't want to have to rent one. I'm like, of course you can use mine, So, but like that's what I was mentioning. Is like all that stuff Jasen does. I've kind of just his right-hand man for whatever he needs, whether it's barring my gear or reamping or, putting microphones, moving mics around on cabinets, trying to find sweet spots, all that stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a whole other thing that I've never seen that side of things. I probably never will, just because of the, I just do the touring side. But
moved to Nashville. Moved to
man.
Nashville. You could be hanging. Literally, you could just come hang out, man.
I know.
Come hang out in those studio sessions.
Yeah.
And now we're doing all the Breaking Ben stuff at Scaff's studio because Kevin built a Dude, it's a beautiful. I mean, it's unreal how nice Scaff's room is.
I think you've told me about that before.
It's definitely like a tracking room. You know, I mean, you could mix in there, but I think it's I think he really tried to build a tracking room, but it's just killer. You know, and as soon as I got Jasen and Kevin all buddied up, and now we work at Scaff's place. But yeah, dude, move to Nashville. You could just come hang out. Just come drink Starbucks while we reamp guitars. Like, we would love, you know what I mean? But because it's like that around, just like they are on tour and in the dressing room, same thing.
That is so crazy. That
hanging out, man. It's fun. It's so much fun.
That whole full circle thing about how you just mentioned the Jacknife. That was I don't know. That blew my mind.
Funny, right? So if you listen to that Love and Death album, the last one they put out, yeah, those amps, those were my live touring amps. I still have them to this day. That
is pretty cool.
The block letter one, if any of the guitar nerds are listening to this, it's like a holy grail. Everyone knows what a block letter 5150 is. It's like a holy grail of heavy metal amps. Okay. But I have a magic one. It just, dude, I don't know what it is. It just sounds so good.
That's awesome.
It just is one of those amps you plug into and you just go junk, 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 and you're like, oh. Man, that one's good,
Yeah.
I call it guitar chord Panama.
Yeah, I'm glad you get to experience both sides of things, man. That's awesome. I didn't even know you were involved in some of that stuff. You know, it doesn't really come up in conversation between me and you and between me and Jasen, but every now and then I'll hear them say something and I'll be like, damn, I didn't know you were working on that.
Yeah, man. If you flip open that Love and Death album, I'm in there.
I gotta go check it. I ordered it on vinyl like a year and a half ago, and I never even opened it. I've got a stack of like 20 vinyls sitting in my closet that I've been waiting to open because I don't know. When I open a vinyl, it's like a whole experience, and I'm like, I ordered it like on the last tour actually. The
Love and Death one. Mm-hmm. That's cool. I ordered the vinyl of that when it came out too. There was like a marble edition one. It was like white and gold, and I ordered it because that was my first engineering credit.
Yeah,
that
you had to have that.
That was the first one,
For sure.
And I've gotten a handful more through Jasen, always through Jasen, working with Jasen. Yeah. But that was my first one, and I was like really proud of that because it's printed. You're like, wow, like
that is cool.
And he's like, son of a bitch, I'm a real audio engineer because I'm a backline guy, man. I'm a guitar tech, right? I'm a guitar tech, so. You find that love in the audio engineering, and then next thing you know, you're like, well, I have an actual engineering credit. Holy shit, maybe I'm an engineer. I still don't look at myself like that. Like, shit, look at me go.
That is awesome.
I'm a real audio engineer now, Mom.
As soon as I open that, I'm gonna go look for your name in there, man. It is in there.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked, and that's all facilitated through Jasen and Joe Rickard. I was doing a lot of guitar reamping for Joe Rickard. Mm-hmm. Who co-produced and mixed that album, Love and Death. That was the first time I reamped for Joe. And so I started working on a lot of projects with Joe.
Yeah.
Really on the back through those years, that backside of that pandemic. But since touring is fired up, I just really haven't been able to do a lot of the reamping thing like that. But just never home anymore,
Totally get it.
But yeah, dude, that's I love that stuff. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Getting guitar tones live is an absolute blast. Getting guitar tones for a record might even be more fun. It's maybe even more fun when you're in the studio, and I just love that. But it's kind of the same thing, man. It's like it's just part of the gig. Like you're kind of a guy who's being paid to just try to make the guitar sound great.
Yeah, you really get all aspects of this, man. We've covered a lot of stuff, and it's like, dude, the van touring, the bus touring, the teching, the playing, the studio stuff.
Yeah,
it's like,
dude. I've dedicated my life to it, Steve.
Yeah,
it's all. It's
But there's just even more than I thought. Like I didn't think about it. I was like, dude,
you were just like that shot bitch ass guitar tech. Oh, dusty old Buster over there. Steven calls me a dusty Buster.
Yeah, I did at one point, not anymore.
Yeah, we're allies now.
Dude, but yeah, that's an amazing career, man, that you've got.
Man.
Seriously, man.
I'm just getting started, dude.
Yeah. Speaking of that, what's next for you? I mean, I know you've had a busy year. You're gonna take off the holidays, right? You're going to spend time at home?
Yeah. Go home for a couple of days after this. Finish up the A Day to Remember thing with Kevin.
I keep forgetting that you're doing that.
But it's real short, man. I get home November 11th. Like I fly out the 30th. Do the math there. What's 12 days or something? It's not even. It's real short.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm gonna take November. I'm gonna take the holidays off, unless anyone's looking. Anyone need a guitar tech?
Just love to work, man.
No, you know what? It's the Roxy thing. You know, like I was talking about my little puppy dog. Roxy's she'll be 17 in March. I've had her since she was 9 weeks old. You know what I mean? I'll be 42. I got the dog when I was 25. Like, she's my kid. It's my family.
I can't believe that, man.
And she's just going down. This will undoubtedly be her last Christmas. There's no doubt about that.
That sucks to hear, man.
So I mean, we've been preparing for it for so long now, you know what I mean? This isn't anything that was quick, but yeah, I'm going to go home, and aside something that might be like a fill-in gig a week or like a one-off, hey, can we do this one show? Like, aside some work like that, I'm going to take the rest of the year off, and I'm going to spend Thanksgiving and Christmas being at home with the dog and the missus, and just kind of enjoy that. And I've worked hard this year, you know what I mean? Like, money's in the bank. Go home and just enjoy the season with your loved ones. I'm going to do that. Last 2 years I've toured up until the week of Christmas.
That's insane.
And then it's just like travel, family, you know, I just feel like, and then we started this year, January 5th, with Breaking on that acoustic tour. So it's just been like, I just feel like I haven't stopped. So
yeah,
it's time to pull the brakes, go home, and be a family man, dude.
Yeah,
domesticated. Dude, I'll be walking the dog. I'll be doing the dishes.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
Oh, you deserve it, man. And the other day we were in catering. I forgot to bring this up earlier, and you went and sat with me for dinner, and I was like, I don't know what you said. I was like, you ready for a nap or something? And you were like, I don't remember what you said. And you were like, I've been touring since 2004. You're like, I'm tired. I was like, damn. I was like, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, you're just like, yeah, you did say something like that. Like, you're all right, man. You need a nap or something? I was like, Steven, I've been touring since 2004. I'm just tired.
Yep. I was like, damn. I was like, you have, man.
I'm tired, dude.
Yep.
And you know what? Anybody, when you have a good solid year on the road, if you're lucky enough to have that kind of workload and do what you love, like, always by this time of year, you're just tired. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I guarantee you by January, I'm just going to be like, oh my God, I am ready to get on the road. Like, go home for a couple months and you just, but you got to find that balance. But, I mean, it's the end of the year, if you've had a good long work year, you're tired. You're ready to go home and slow down. But
I don't tour nearly as much as you, and I always feel that way, especially when it's coming up on the holidays and you do these shed tours. For me, are very draining. I mean, I'm in the sun a lot. I mean,
yeah, you are. Yeah.
I've got ridiculous tan lines from this tour, but yeah, I'm out in the truck in the middle of the parking lot.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. They don't put you on the dock.
No, not even close. So I get worn down really quick on these tours. So I'm always ready, and I'm ready now. And yeah, man, I think you deserve that time at home, and I'm glad you're taking the time.
You do too, man. And you know what? And that's natural. I mean, it's part of it. Like, the end of these tours, like, you should always be okay with being ready.
Yeah.
Like, it's touring can be like a love-hate thing. Like, you can't wait to get home, but I mean, once you're home for a little bit, you're like, man, I sure do miss the road. It's like too much home or too much touring can be bad. You got to find that balance, but also, like I always say, like, it's always okay to feel like you're ready to go home.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's hard. You're distant. You've got a new house and you got a great girl at home. Like, we all walk away from a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, when you're ready, you're ready. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
And next year should be a pretty big year for Breaking Ben.
Dude, I know, man.
New music.
And new music. I mean, the first song's out,
Yep.
First song since April of 2018.
That's a long time.
Dude, it's a long time.
It is.
It's a long time. And the fact that they toured the whole time is a testament to, like, how much people love that band.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of bands that could go 6 years without putting out not even a record, but even a fucking single. Like, that's so long. And we're doing arenas and sheds the whole time.
Yeah.
So I really do think this next album is going to be, I mean, even the new single, it just seems like people online really love it. Like, all the Breaking Ben.
For sure. It's gotten a great response.
Yeah. A lot of the Breaking Ben family out there just tend to really love it. And I really do think this next record's going to be like a huge thing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to lead to some really great touring, some huge tours, and, Jerome giving me a pay raise. Like, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, thank you again for doing this, man.
Dude,
seriously, man.
Dude.
I appreciate your
thanks,
time.
Dude, dude, thanks for even asking me. You know, I always say I'm a shot bitch. Like, why would you want me? I'm a shot bitch and nobody likes me. That's my life's motto. I stole from Rich Fargo.
There's so many people on this tour that I want to have on. And I just didn't think that anybody want to be on it, to be honest with you, man.
Kidding me. I'm honored, dude. I love it. Anytime.
Yeah. I had to get Blake on first and was like, oh,
yeah,
I see how it is.
No, dude, even to this day, my feelings aren't hurt.
I was like, oh, everybody wants to do it? I didn't know. Yeah, I had to get Blake on here first, my guinea pig for this. But yeah, man, anything else you want to talk about, plug, say before we go?
No, man, not at all.
All right, man. No. Well, yeah, you guys can see Cowboy on tour with Breaking Benjamin, A Day to Remember, or Keith Wallen. He got a lot of bands to cover, so
don't forget my guys in Bush. What's up? What's up, Corey? What's up, Corey? If you're listening,
yeah,
I got you playing.
Yeah. So, all right, thanks a lot, man. We'll see you guys on the road, man. If you are still here, thank you so much for spending almost 2 hours of your time on this episode. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with the guitar tech Mike Warren. Seriously, one of the best guys I know, and I'm so glad to have had him on the podcast, and also glad that he was willing to take the time out of his last day off on tour to do this with me. He's actually on tour with A Day to Remember right now. I texted him with some questions about the podcast, and he responded like 8 hours later saying, hello from New Zealand, and I was like, oh shit, man. Sorry, man, I didn't realize you'd flown out, and yeah, he's out there with A Day to Remember doing some shows. They just released a new album called Big Ol' Album Volume 1, and you can buy it on CD and vinyl right now, but it doesn't start streaming until a month later. And that's actually a pretty good way to release an album. I'm surprised more bands haven't already thought of that. I'm pretty sure we'll see a lot of bands following suit after realizing that it could probably push CD and vinyl sales before it becomes streaming. So yeah, he's out there in New Zealand. And one thing I can't believe we didn't talk about in this episode was the ongoing Megadeth Metallica feud that's been going on for like 3 years now. Every single tour, there has to be some discussion about either band in some facet. It all started when he found out that I don't like Metallica on tour, like, I don't know, 2022 or something like that. And of course, I absolutely respect them, but can't stand like 97% of their music. But yeah, and I'm not afraid to say it either. Some people think I'm crazy for not liking Metallica, but just because they're one of the biggest bands in the world doesn't mean you have to like them. Much more of a Megadeth fan. And, you know, Mike Cowboy, whatever you want to call him, he likes both Metallica and Megadeth, but he just finds it so baffling that I can like Megadeth but not Metallica, and I'm just like, well, let me explain to you for the 30th time why. And we kind of have that discussion on every single tour, so I'm just surprised it didn't come up. But yeah, we'll have to save that for another episode or something. I could seriously be like a 5-hour long episode just discussing the two bands, but if you haven't already, check out the YouTube channels. As I've said before, there is a main channel that has all the vlogs and live videos and behind-the-scenes stuff. And then there's the podcast channel, which has all the podcast episodes all in one place. And if you're on YouTube right now, then you already know where that's at. But if not, I'll link that in the description. Wherever you find podcasts, you'll be able to get a link to that as well if you want to check out the video version. And you can also check out takemeontour.com, and that'll take you right to the video versions as well. And of course, you can find me on all social media platforms. There's tons of behind the scenes videos on there now that I've been uploading, 5 to 6 times a week. And I'm going to try to keep up with that until I go on tour. And then hopefully I can get even more content once I'm out on tour and start answering people's questions and showing them videos of stuff that I haven't already. So yeah, check me out on all social media platforms at Take Me On Tour. I'll put links to that as well in the description. But hopefully I can have some more podcast episodes out soon. And if not, there will definitely be more tour vlogs in the near future. And like I said, as always, I appreciate anybody who's following, listening on any platform, YouTube, any podcast platform, social media. I can't thank you guys enough for continuing to follow this crazy idea that I had like 6 years ago. So I appreciate it, guys. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next one.